Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to explore a topic that has inspired generations, learning from the powerful lessons of biblical heroes and how we can apply them to our modern lives. These stories aren't just ancient history, they carry timeless wisdom that can guide us through our own challenges today. Let's start with Abraham, often called the father of faith. Abraham's journey is one of trust and obedience. Imagine being asked to leave everything familiar behind without knowing where you're going. In his story, we learn that faith sometimes means stepping into the unknown, trusting that God has a plan. Abraham didn't know all the details, but he trusted God's promises. There's a verse that reminds us, it was by faith that Abraham obeyed when God called him to leave home, without knowing where he was going. How often do we find ourselves in situations where the future is uncertain, but faith keeps us moving forward? Joseph, whose life is a powerful example of perseverance and forgiveness. Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and wrongfully imprisoned. Yet through it all, he remained faithful to God. Joseph's story teaches us that even in the darkest moments, God is working behind the scenes. The verse that says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good," shows us that what may seem like setbacks can actually be setting us up for greater things. Have you ever been through a tough time and later realized how it shaped you for something better? Moses was called to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, but he doubted his ability to fulfill this mission. In fact, he questioned whether he was the right person for the job. But God didn't ask Moses to be perfect. He asked him to be obedient. The verse, "I will be with you," reminds us that God doesn't leave us to face our challenges alone. When we step into our calling, even if we don't feel equipped, God gives us the strength to carry it out. Have you ever felt like you weren't ready for what God was calling you to do? Esther's story is about courage and using your influence for good. She was placed in a position of power, and when her people were in danger, she had to make a bold decision. Her cousin's words to her, "Who knows if perhaps you were made queen for just such a time as this," show us that sometimes we are positioned exactly where we need to be to make a difference. How are you using the opportunities God has given you to make a positive impact in your life and the lives of others? David's story is one of overcoming adversity and staying grounded in God's strength. Facing Goliath, David didn't rely on his own power, but on God's. He said, "The Lord who rescued me from the claws of the lion and the bear will rescue me from this Philistine." This story reminds us that no challenge is too big when we trust in God's power. What giants are you facing in your life today, and how are you relying on God to overcome them? These biblical heroes weren't perfect, but they were faithful. And through their lives, we see how God can use ordinary people to do extraordinary things. Their lessons, faith, perseverance, courage, and reliance on God's strength, are just as relevant for us today as they were thousands of years ago. I'd love to hear how the stories of these heroes resonate with you. Which of their lessons speaks to your heart the most? And how have you seen God working in your own life? Thank you for joining me today. If you found these lessons inspiring, please like, share, and subscribe. Let's continue to encourage each other as we live out the powerful truths we learn from Scripture. I look forward to hearing your thoughts and stories in the comments. See you in the next video.